So the NeuroNerds and the Stroke of Genius guys are caught in the middle of a time vortex. Not really, but I have half of the Stroke of Genius guys, Liam, here in studio with me and the other half in New York. Yeah, like Ant-Man, we're calling the Quantum Realm episode of the NeuroNerds. Hi, I'm Joe.
And I'm Lauren.
And we are
the
NeuroNerds.
Yes, that was on time.
I feel pretty good about that.
NeuroNerds.
So today I had the pleasure of interviewing the Stroke of Genius guys. What's Stroke of Genius, you ask? Stroke of Genius is a documentary series that's done by stroke survivor Kyle and artist Liam. They go around the country and they meet other stroke survivors and they talk about their stories and what their stroke of genius is. It's a beautiful thing that they do. And now they're creating content on Arianna Huffington's new platform, Thrive, which is really exciting, really amazing. Liam just so happened to be in the greater Los Angeles area and came into studio with me to do an interview. And then we Skyped with Kyle in New York and we put on this beautiful episode. I hope you guys enjoy. All right, so we have a very special NeuroNerd episode today. Today is the Stroke of Genius episode. Now, you guys are really familiar with the Stroke of Genius guys, Kyle and Liam. Liam just so happens to be down in my ways here in LA, and he decided to visit because he's awesome. And he had we got Kyle on FaceTime, and Kyle's like, "Oh, you guys are gonna do the episode NeuroNerds without me?" And I was like, "Oh my god, we can absolutely do an episode of Stroke of Genius with the Stroke of Genius guys together." Kyle's on Skype with us right now. Liam's here in person. This is amazing.
Hey guys, how you
doing? So that's Kyle there. I got Liam right over here to my right. Liam, speaking of looking like cartoon characters, I say I look like a cartoon character sometimes because I kind of wear the exact same thing every single day. It's normally my I Almost Die t-shirt from the Like It or Not apparel girls, which are those guys are amazing, and my cargo shorts, and that's it. Liam just said he wears basically the exact same thing. And what's funny is as soon as I saw you for the first time, I was like, oh my God, you look exactly like I pictured you when I see you in pictures.
Well, it's because I literally wear the same thing. And I don't wear the same thing as you.
that would be really, really strange.
But it's actually, if I can tell you, it's actually a very intentional outfit because basically I wear a blazer and my white V-neck t-shirt and then usually black slacks or black pants and shoes. And it's because that outfit can pretty much go to any occasion.
That's
like no matter
true.
Where I end up, I could be at like a black tie event. They're like, okay. I could be at a, I could dress super down, take the blazer off. You're just in a white V. Otherwise, I could be at a hipster party. I could be at a fancy event.
Yeah, it's like hipster chic.
So it's like, no matter where I end up, because I really never know where I'm going to end up.
So what's awesome is I live in California and I can wear anything at any time, anywhere. So I could literally wear shorts and a t-shirt. It's like, oh, there's like an after party for like this event from this movie that's premiering. It's like, oh, okay, cool. I'm ready to go. You know what I mean? It's very chill over here. And if I'm like really, really underdressed, I could just be like, hey, I had a stroke, guys. So I just assumed that this was an okay thing to wear. So Kyle, talk to me about Stroke of Genius. Like, how did this come to be? Because I asked Liam, how did you guys link up? And I was like, hey, we'll talk about this on air. It's going to be great content.
Well, I mean, it's all about Tammy.
I've never met Tammy. I've never actually spoken to Tammy, but I know of her through you guys.
Yeah, so she's this kind of like special hidden ghost who appears in photos every so often. But she is the magic behind this. Last year I celebrated my 20th year anniversary during the summer, and it was about to get the leaves I turned were here. Wait a minute. The leaves were turning in September, and I went to this AT&T event, and they were doing this contest. And Tammy just happened to be stumbled upon this event. She was here on vacation. She's from San Francisco, and she said she sat right next to me in the theater seats, and she says, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "Who am I?" And so, and we got the conversation going, and she said, "You should do the contest. And I was like, no, I don't have time. And then she emailed me like 5 times that night. And she said, I really think you should do this contest. Meet with me in the morning, and let me go through it.
What was the contest?
This AT&T Create-a-thon contest in New York. And there's like 50 films that were created that weekend. It's kind of like a 36-hour film festival.
Oh, okay.
And, you develop, write, shoot, and edit all within that weekend. And so there were some awesome films, that Sunday that were turned in, and they chose mine.
Damn right they did. I mean, they were awesome films. Well, come on, they're not Stroke of Genius awesome. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I know.
Wait, so how did you link up with Tammy?
Well, I mean, in the theater seats, and we just connected, and then the next day I accepted her invitation to a meeting over coffee, and she burst through the door, and she just said the first thing that she said when she burst through the door is Stroke of Genius. And I said, I'll give you 1 more hour.
That's awesome. That's amazing. How did you link up with this guy over here?
Well, halfway through development, and halfway through, just the style and the pre-production, I just said, you know what? Liam and I have been collaborating so many times, and I've just read his buddy's book, The 2 a.m. Principle, and his buddy would take him on random adventures all across the world.
John Levy.
Yeah, John Levy. And I just said, I gotta ask Liam if he'd be down for that. And so, Liam, why don't you take it from here?
So this is the best thing. So I get my phone rings and it's Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, hey, I have this crazy question. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, would you consider driving across country with me, shooting a documentary series? I was like, yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
100%. I was like, you had me at, I have a crazy question. I was already in. It was like, no question.
That's perfect.
And then, he said, he shared that story with me and about Tammy and like about because they won the contest.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as soon as they won, Tammy turns to Kyle and she's like, well, now you got to go tell other people's stories.
Yeah.
And then, so that's where it all began.
Oh, Stroke of Genius was born.
Yeah. I mean, my mind just blew, when she said she was in the theater seats right before the awards. She said, now you have to go tell other people's stories. And then I just cried, just like, oh my God, that is actually my purpose.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And, yeah.
Damn, you're making me misty-eyed, and I don't have very many of those things. What do you call them? Feelings. That's right. I don't have a lot of those.
Yeah, you do, Joe.
I do. I'm always very over emotional, and you absolutely know, being a stroke survivor, like my emotions are a roller coaster daily, hourly, minutely, secondly. But that's awesome. I mean, that's such a cool thing. And you guys have been doing this how long now?
A year.
1 year.
That's incredible.
It's our 1 year anniversary last week.
Man, and all this amazing stuff happened. So today, Liam and I were hanging out on the side of a mountain. So
as we do, so we've been to the mountain.
So where do you guys hang out? So I live in California, and there's like my backyard. There's like this kind of really big hill, but just kind of looks like a mountain. So Liam was like, oh, I think we get like a really good view from the top there. Let's go check it out. Have you ever been? I'm like, no, I haven't, because it's super steep. So we made it about maybe halfway up, and then we got a call from called Kyle, and we were talking literally on the side of a mountain, and you guys decided to do like an impromptu episode of Stroke of Genius with me there, which was awesome. And you guys let loose some amazing news. If you guys want to share with the rest of the NeuroNerds out there what this amazing news is, because it is, as said, amazing.
Yeah. So on Wednesday, we have a partnership with Thrive Global, which is an amazing Is it a? I'm a little confused. Like, is it a website? I don't know. The new future world that we live in, it's like a publication, right? It's a publication.
Right. It's basically
right?
like it's like media online.
It's like the Huffington Post, which now, I mean, Arianna Huffington, a couple years ago, she started this Thrive Global, a new publication. She left the Huffington Post to start it, and so now they're incorporating video and like video series, content series, even documentary series, and we've been in communication with them for, from the start, and they've been closely watching the progress, and we just called them one day and we just said, all right, I think we're ready, like,
awesome.
Let's talk. And but that was like several months ago, and
Dan,
it just takes a long time.
It does. These things don't happen overnight. Most people become huge successes. It's like, oh, they became an overnight success. Yeah, that overnight took 17 years. So
yeah, man, this has been one long night.
No, but that's awesome. I mean, this is a big deal, and it's time to celebrate. You should celebrate with a glass of wine. Kyle's already got one. We're celebrating over here with coconut water because we are in California. So I mean, what else do you like? It's either coconut water or kombucha. I don't know.
So yeah, let me tell you why this is huge, Joe. It's huge because for our project to get the type of amplification that Thrive Global is going to give us, but at the core of what we're up to, we're about sharing stories, and we have this sort of a hypothesis, I'll call it, which is that when you share your story, it gives you the opportunity to, specifically, we're all about sharing stories of triumph. So when you share your story of triumph, it actually gives other people the opportunity to live that triumph as well. Now, what we're going to do eventually with Thrive is we're starting off just by creating content for the site, but we're actually going to open it up to everybody else to share their stories and create an online platform where people can build community around sharing their stories of triumph.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And if you bring together people, you can build community anywhere around anything. You think there's a cigar community, there's a community around boating,
right.
Whatever, right? But makeup, yeah. But what if you built a community around triumph? That would be a triumphant community.
It would be like ridiculously positive,
Well, more specifically, the Stroke of Genius. Okay, like that even goes more narrow and says, all right, what's that moment where you choose how you're going to live the rest of your life? Like, that is specific. And because we all go through that, we all have that moment. But to think back on that moment is one, like, energizing, and two, it brings back all these other triumphant moments, and then you're able to release this authenticity, this true story, and I don't even know where it comes from, but it's so exciting to hear.
I'm inspired as hell. This is great. Like I'm super excited because I kind of feel the same way in sharing stories. I think it helps, like, as a survivor, sharing my story helps me in my recovery, and I know sharing it will help somebody else in their recovery understand that they're not alone, they're not the only ones going through it, and that you are building a community of I'm trying to build a community of survivors, sharing stories one story at a time. Actually, I came up with that idea from you guys. I think it's amazing what you've done. You guys, Stroke Survivors Never Quit with Jamie, the Stromies, like everybody sharing these stories and building this community of survivors, and you guys are taking it to another level. It's inspiring as hell.
Well, thank you.
Well, so Joe, what's your stroke of genius?
Meeting the Stroke of Genius guys.
No, we'll say that to the end.
What's that?
Come on, Liam. Liam, we always say that to the end.
Well, you know where I start at a 10 and then we take it up from there.
Ending first. It's like wait, we're living Memento. Yeah. We're starting at the end. We're working our way back to the beginning. No, I think it's amazing what you guys are doing, and really, I'm so blessed to have met you guys. I'm even more blessed to be here in the same room with one of you guys, with another one of you guys on Skype that I'm staring at and hearing you. Like, it's the magic technology. Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah.
Like, no matter how far we are, we're all like we're all here. That's what's beautiful about technology. What blows me away about technology, Liam just told me that he has like a timer on some of his tech, so he's not like always on, which I think is a genius idea, because most of the time we're not even connecting with one another because we're staring at our phones. Mm-hmm. There was a picture I'll never forget of Keanu Reeves, who doesn't live super far away from here, like in the area. He was in Silver Lake, and there's a picture of him, of everybody. It's maybe about 15, 20 people walking around him. Not one of them was looking at him, and every single person has their face buried in their phone.
Oh my God.
And I was like, that's just such a bummer. We're not connecting with one another. So like, it's great that we can do this and use technology to connect as opposed to deflect,
Yeah, man. I mean, when I catch people looking at my right side when walking down the street in New York, and then they look at me, like, I smile, and I smile, and I'll give them a little nod, and and they that and enlightened them to smile and give a little nod back, because they're just curious.
But some people are dicks. I've said that a million times. So I have a good friend, Noreen. She's an artist in Australia. She had a stroke.
I love Noreen.
Noreen, I adore Noreen. She's the best. And so we were talking. She was a little bummed out because she was in line somewhere, and some dude was behind her, and he was like, "Oh, look at her arm. Ew!" Like, he was being a dick. She had a pediatric stroke. She had a stroke when she was a few months old, and her deficits is she never had feeling on her right side. But she's, talk about thriving. She is thriving. She's an amazing artist. She just sold one of her first pieces, which is amazing. Congratulations, Noreen.
Yeah.
You're awesome.
Congratulations. That's awesome. A huge
so immediately for me, defensive Joe, I wanted to take a flight down to Australia where she lives and beat the shit out of somebody. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I have a very low tolerance for that. It's so ignorant and it's so dumb. And what you're supposed to do is ignore these people. I'm not that type of guy. I'm not.
I don't know. There's something called Hanlon's razor. Have you guys ever heard of that?
No.
So Hanlon's razor is it's like a thing that somebody said once. A razor is like, that's what a razor is like. Mm-hmm. And there's also like the razor that cuts your face. But when they talk about like, so this guy Hanlon said this thing once that is like, it states that never attribute to malice something that can easily be explained by ignorance.
Oh, wow. Damn.
And that is for me, it's not necessarily the truth, but what it is it's an access to it's an access to understanding. It's also an access to not having things really bother you so much, if you really think about that.
Right.
Like, I don't know that many people are so sheltered,
Absolutely.
And I don't know that many people see people that have strokes or see or even understand or know anything.
Right.
But a lot of times what happens when we get into circumstances like that, we tend to think that there's some kind of malice involved, like they're doing it to you or someone's doing something to me. And it's really, I think it gives you access to forgiveness to really think about, never to attribute to malice what can easily be explained by ignorance.
Right. And then I try to stoop down to that level and I show my ignorance when I want to put my foot in that dude's ass. So it's, but I try to, I'm not as reactive as I used to be, because I didn't mention it in the last like 3 minutes. I did have a stroke. So I have to get, and it was a it was a high blood pressure induced one. So I have to keep like my stress level down. So I remove myself from a lot of those situations, but it still bugs the hell out of me, the ignorance of people, and it's willful ignorance. There's an internet out there. Look some stuff up. So what I've chosen to do with my life, obviously, is to help other people, you know, and one of my main focuses is to grow every single day. Like that's what I want to do. I want to be happy, obviously. But I want to help as many people as I can. And I want to grow, because I think that's why we're here. I don't think we're here. Kyle, I don't think you survived your stroke. I don't think you linked up with Liam and Tammy and all these other people. You decided to do this thing to be stressed out and angry and upset every single day. I don't think that's why I survived my stroke. I think, me personally, we survived for a reason. We survived so we can actually live. Not just survive, not just get by, but actually truly live. And then eventually, you guys will love this one, eventually thrive. Right? Because of thrive.
Yeah.
So to not only live, but to thrive eventually, and to help as many people as we can along the way. That's what I feel. And to grow, you know, like I don't know how much time we have on this little blue marble we call Earth, but I'm going to enjoy every single moment I can and try to connect with as many people as possible, build a community, and grow every single day. So these ignorant people, it bothers me that they're not that I want everybody to be just like me. The world would be awesome, but still. But you know, we should be able to learn from one another. You know, we shouldn't judge each other. We shouldn't be mean to each other, even though I was kind of a dick when I was younger, but you know, I was just projecting. I wasn't a very happy person, but I've grown since, you know, and I just wish like everybody else would do the same.
Wait, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Can I get an hell yeah?
Yes.
So I have a question for both of you guys.
Yeah.
So I, you know, you really just hit the nail right on the head, right, Joe? So the question is, how do you reach people that are in that circumstance? Because I like to imagine that there's no one that walks on the face of this earth that wants to be an angry dimwit for their entire life. And not that I'm saying that that person is an angry dimwit, but if you occur like an angry dimwit to people that you meet, isn't that really who you are?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So how do you reach people that occur that way? Or how do you reach people and because I know that it's been scientifically proven that when you're engaged in growing as a human being, that is actually directly linked to happiness.
Is that amazing?
Yeah.
Is that amazing? I love that.
So how do you get people that don't want to grow to want to grow?
Oh my God. It's so you know what it is for me? I'm a helper by nature. I've always been a helper. I would help people while hurting myself because I wanted to help so desperately. It's a horrible thing. If somebody doesn't want to be helped, I can't force you to want to do better. And I've kind of done that my whole life, kind of lit into my stroke. Like my family is like a huge trigger for that, where it's like, look, if you touch a stove, it's going to burn you. Don't touch it anymore. But my family are perpetually touching a hot stove, you know? So it's hard. I don't really know. The only thing I've been able to do is remove myself from that. And when people are ready to grow and ready to talk and ready to understand and connect, I'm absolutely right there. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen very often. You know, I wish it was different. I have a hard time dealing with ignorance. You know, if somebody is just ignorant, I can't talk to you. I can't use words, you know, I don't know what else to do other than hit you.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? I have a really good friend. He says it all the time. He's like, if I can't talk to you, I have to put my hands on you. And I don't want to put my hands on you, you know? So dealing with ignorant people, I do my best just to avoid them because I don't want to end up in jail. It's the nicest way to put it.
You know, I have a different spin on this. And out of my 21 years of having a stroke, you know, I became so truthful in so many years. and it has helped me communicate the God's honest truth to anyone else. And for example, I was at a bar with a buddy of mine that has been a buddy since 4th grade, and we start talking to this guy, and he goes, hey, blah blah blah, here's, states his name and puts his hand out to shake, and I was like, hey, let's cheers, because I had a drink in my hand and my other hand doesn't work quite well. And so and he goes, no, shake with your right hand like a real man. And I was like, no, let's just cheers. We're out at a bar, and blah blah. And he's like one of those douchebags, from Wall Street. Like always taking, Coke on the lunch break. That kind of personality. I don't know if he actually does that, but
I don't know. I'm sure he does.
But just Kyle, this is such a great story you're sharing. But a perfect example of what I was talking about.
But then, he goes, why not? And he got really defensive, and I literally laughed in his face, turned to my buddy Michael, and we looked at each other like we already knew like what I was going to say, and Michael was just getting ready. And then I turned to this guy, and I was like, dude, like 21 years ago I had a stroke, and and his face melted, and
it was from all the Coke.
Yeah, but but it turned into like it was because of the God's honest truth.
Mm-hmm.
Hit him, just smacking him in the face. It really opened him up to a world of authenticity.
You know what might have helped too? An actual smack in the face.
Well,
I always go violent. I don't know why. It's a problem.
I actually want to bring this right back, because that's so perfect, Kyle. It was the God's honest truth, but it was also the power of story.
Yeah.
Because
absolutely.
You're looking at like, what do you do to diffuse a situation? What do you do to get through to somebody that doesn't want to get it? Well, the power of story. I mean, you opened up. You could have very easily just turned away and just said, F this guy, whatever. But you turned to him and you said, I had a stroke 21 years ago. And you shared being that open. And he was like, holy crap, I'm whatever.
And
you can curse, it's fine.
And when people say, when people say, oh, I'm so sorry, that fucking pisses me off.
Right. What are you sorry about?
Exactly.
I'm here.
And I always jump on them, and I say, I'm not. Like, I'm living the life that I wouldn't have. And so and that strikes them in a different way, that they will always remember that.
Oh man, how beautiful is that?
Yeah.
You're attacking these people non-violently, while I'm on the other side saying, oh my God, I'd have punched that guy in the face as hard as humanly possible.
Well, 2 years out, Joe, I was picking fights, with an arm brace and a leg brace, because I was thinking I was a stupid jock still, and I lost a couple of those fights too. But
but that's awesome. Then you could say, oh, you feel like a big man, you beat up a guy who had a stroke.
That's fairly amazing that you only lost a couple of those fights.
Oh,
Kyle.
no, I can
awesome.
tell just by talking to Kyle once, you're a scrappy dude, man. If I'm in a dark alley, you're definitely on my side.
Yo, dude, I wouldn't call me scrappy.
but I love that just being honest can shape people's, minds, I try to be as honest as possible. And a lot of people, like, I joke because it's me and I'm an idiot by nature. I joke about my stroke all the time. I joke about the PTSD that I have. I joke about the tremors I have in my right hand. It makes so many people uncomfortable. And at first I was like, oh yeah, maybe I should stop doing this. But then I'm like, I'm the one who had the stroke. What are you uncomfortable with?
Well, you know what? It's good that you guys do that, because I would actually say your joking doesn't make people uncomfortable. People are already uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
But your joking makes it impossible to hide.
Right.
Because,
yeah.
Because we really all have like an agreement, right? Like this, like where we'll pretend everything's okay as long as you pretend everything's okay. And then we'll both like kind of exist next to each other until we get tired of it and then go home and go to sleep, right? But when you're joking, it's like that honesty, that truth is coming through, and it's really unavoidable.
It really is. I was at the one that I'll always remember. We were at a restaurant and I was just making stroke jokes because it's what I tended to do. It was my defense. No, it wasn't even a defense mechanism. It was what I was using to help me cope with what happened to me. And I was joking, everybody's laughing, and I remember the waiter was just like, "Are we laughing at that? Oh, okay. Oh, like he was so uncomfortable." And of course, me being a dick, I just kept on going like even harder. And it's just, I don't think anybody should be uncomfortable with what happened to us. It's more a reflection of them than me.
I can tell you from the other side of it. I mean, I even still get uncomfortable a lot of times, doing Talking Genius, talking with people that, because have not survived a traumatic medical event.
Oh, you're what we call a normie.
So I can tell you where that uncomfortability comes from is, for me, I never want to get in trouble. All my life, I always got in trouble. I was always the kid that got in trouble. I was always like, don't touch that. Why did you touch that? That was, whatever you do, don't go in there. Where was Liam?
Right there.
That was, and I would get in trouble my whole life. Everything I did, I always got in trouble. So for me, like immediately, like, what comes up for me is like, I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to ruffle I don't want to and I just want people to like me. I want everyone to love me and be friends with me. And like, I don't want people to be mad at me.
Everyone does, Liam.
Yeah, everybody does love you. Do you want to know why? Because you're fucking adorable. That's why. So for me, I guess I had that when I was younger, but then I hit a point where I just really don't care. And now that I almost died, I absolutely don't care. Like I don't go about thinking and saying things because, well, maybe they're like, I don't really care. Like, this is who I am.
So many people, but that's how people are.
No, so many people.
That's how people are. So then when you start making stroke jokes, they're like, oh my God.
Exactly.
If I laugh, somebody, this is going to go real bad.
Exactly.
For me.
So I normally, back in the day, and I still do it a little bit, I'll like, if I meet somebody or like a little group of people, I'll say the most horrific, disturbing, effed up thing I can think about, just to gauge what kind of people I'm around. I'll tell a joke, but I'm not going to say it because there's too many people. Like, I have a lot of like young people who listen to this and I don't want to offend anybody like too badly. I'll say just something ridiculously horrific. And a lot of times people are like, oh my God, obviously it's like, I don't mean it. Like, nobody in their right mind would think like this terrible thing is like, oh, this dude means it. Like, even joking about my stroke. Obviously it's a joke. It's like, I'm not poking fun at myself. I am a little bit, but so if you get that, I can mess with you. If you get that I'm joking, if you get that this is a horrific thing, but I'm joking about it because this is how I'm processing it, I can mess with you. We can talk. We can become friends. If you're like, oh, I just don't understand, I don't get that. Cool. I now know I don't have to waste any more time in trying to get to know you. Like, you got to figure out all that stuff on your own. I don't have that kind of time because I almost died. I'm doing my best to live. So it's awesome that I know now I don't have to waste time on you.
Joe, to circle back around, like at the end of the confrontation, not a confrontation, but just just the realization that this guy, like, that I met at the bar, like, he actually, cheersed me for, instead of shook my hand.
Damn right he did.
Yeah. and because it was like a salute or like a respect,
Right.
It was like, oh, I understand now.
I actually also appreciate the fact that you gave him an opportunity to cheer you instead of just like shutting him down, because to be honest, I don't have that kind of patience. I really don't. I never had. I used to get in arguments with my physical therapist, and he broke something down to me. He's like, you're going to have patience, or you're always going to be a patient. So that helped me a little bit. But in all likelihood, I probably would have jumped over a counter and tried to strangle a guy. But that's old Joe. New Joe, I'm super peaceful. I'm super loving. I'm super caring. And I'm normally physically afraid of my co-host. But I think that's amazing that you actually like cheers a dude, and I don't know if you made like a friend, but you gained the respect of a jerk, and hopefully you gave him a little bit of perspective.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of like teaching adults how to be adults. I'm like, either you get it or you don't.
Here's what I would say. You don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to teach anybody anything. You don't have to. In fact, why should you?
Right.
Well, I have an argument for why should you.
Mm-hmm.
It's because nobody else is going to.
You know what? Yeah. See, damn it, Liam. It's a great damn point.
And we get in every opportunity. So like what Kyle did there, in every opportunity we have, like every moment we have that opportunity to be the person that brings that.
Right.
And when you bring that, it's almost like you give somebody else the opportunity to get off the train too. Because everybody's on that train, that reacting to, oh, I hate this, I like that,
right.
that, blah. And like you're on this, but then when you kind of step out and you say like, speak the truth and are open, and then allow people to step into that, they're like, wow, who is this human? Like, and I can be like that. Like, that's pretty cool.
It's a very adult way to go about it too. I had my adult way of going about this. Like, all right, so like politically, things are crazy since my stroke. I literally woke up in Back to the Future too. It's crazy. And I remember a lot of my friends were like, oh, I found out so-and-so is a orange idiot supporter. I can't talk to him anymore. I'm like, no. We can't win that way. We can't function in a society that way. We have to have these conversations. We have to talk to these people and let them see how awesome it is on this side. Like I'm already seeing that side. I'm like, oh man, it looks miserable and it's full of hate. That sucks. Like, I don't want to be part of that. But on the flip side, if they see how amazing and loving and caring and inclusive this side is, why would they go back to the other side?
Yep.
It's like, it's very peaceful and nice over here. Come on over. The grass is really green.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was a very adult thing that you did. And I praise you for it. And I strive every day to be as adult as you. But I have my bodyguard, my girlfriend, and she's an ass kicker. So she'll make sure I don't get into trouble.
And Joe, it will come.
But yeah, I hope so. I say it all the time. Just like the rest of us, I'm a work in progress.
Well, I'm a work in progress, and I've been in it for 21 years. Man, I think we'll always be a work in progress.
Yeah, as a people, I think we are. I think your journey has been incredible. Like it really has. And I'm pretty sure one day some dope ass actor is going to be playing you in a movie. No, come on, man. Don't be humble.
Who is it going to be, Kyle?
Yeah, who is it, Kyle? Is it going to be like an up and coming guy like wait, what's the dude from High School Musical? Is it going to be Zac Efron? Could it be Zac Efron? Come on, he played basketball in that movie, I think.
I've been told I look like Kurt Russell.
Oh shit, that would be amazing.
Yeah, and so he can maybe he can be me as an old dude.
That makes me wish I wish that you would star in Big Trouble in Little China if they ever make a sequel.
Wow, I did not see that movie.
Gasp and awe. Are you serious? Oh man, so that needs to be rectified. I'm just saying that has to kind of be a thing. It's one of my favorite movies ever. It's ridiculous. It makes no sense. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it. Okay,
so here's this thing. Here's the thing. Here's a little spoiler alert. And my girlfriend ruined it for me because she brought reality into this. So I don't know if you remember the beginning of this movie, and Kyle, you'll see it eventually. Here's a spoiler, and you'll know going in. It takes place, and one of the dudes, he's talking about this to cops. All right, so like there's this thing that's going down. The cops are like, well, tell us like everything that happened. And he's explaining it. And while he's explaining it, of course, it flashes back to the incidents that happened. At the end of those incidents, not once do they go back to the cops. Like, how did he end up in the police station? It makes no sense. And Felice was like, oh, yeah. So, like, how did he get arrested? How did he this? How did that? And I was like, oh, I started thinking about it. I was like, oh my. And it's not like I saw this movie when I was a kid and then I never touched back. I honestly watch this movie at least once a year. Once a year. I'm 41 now. Once a year for like 30 plus years, I've seen this movie. Not once did I realize that it makes no sense that they were talking to cops at the beginning of the movie and they never circle back to it ever. It makes no sense. And it's been bothering me for like the 2 years that I've realized this since Felice told me.
Joe,
yeah.
You're really 30.
No, actually, I think I'm forever 13 because I still giggle at ridiculous things. Like I tell everybody all the time, yes, I'm 41, but I'm very immature, you know, and I'm Puerto Rican. So like I look super young minus the
I didn't know you were 41.
Yeah. The platinum streaks I have in my beard. Like, you know, aside of those, you'd never know I was over 20.
I have a theory about Big Trouble in Little China. Maybe he just never stopped talking to the cops. Like maybe he's still doing it now to this day.
Oh, and the more of the story is being unraveled.
Yeah, like we only got that little bit of the story.
We did.
But like Kurt Russell is still like
that leads into one of my theories. Kurt Russell, one of the greatest storytellers in the history of mankind.
There you go.
Kyle, please watch that movie. It'll make me so happy. I'll feel like my life is complete. I honestly think, as of right now, I survived my stroke to meet you and get you to watch Big Trouble in Little China.
All right, I will fall asleep to it tonight.
It absolutely has to be has to be a thing. Hey, so Stroke of Genius, where do you guys see this going now that you guys have this amazing partnership with Arianna Huffington and Thrive? Like, where do you want to see Stroke of Genius go?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that the amazing partnership is with Liam, Tammy, and Michael. I
didn't even know who the hell Michael is.
Michael is our fourth part of the team.
I didn't know you had a fourth part. I knew about Tammy, even though I've never like knew Tammy's story. I didn't even know about Michael. I don't think Michael exists.
No, Michael is real, and he has he is amazing and has a huge background. I don't know if it's 15 or 20 years that he's been working in nonprofit. And
beautiful.
He's helped so much in steering us, you know, because we're a young organization. We just started a year ago.
Wow.
And, you know, in structuring us correctly and steering us in the right way and building things like in it with a foundation for success.
Right.
So he's awesome.
That's amazing. You guys have been absolutely set up for success. And I mean, look at the success that you guys have had in just a year. The amount of people that you've touched, it's amazing. I mean, I've seen as many Stroke of Geniuses as I possibly could see. When I'm available, I'll always see it. I love you guys. I think you're amazing for doing what you do. Do you guys, I don't know, like what would be the next thing? What about like a Stroke of Genius movie?
Well, I'm glad you asked.
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, maybe.
What do you think about that?
I mean,
Kyle?
that sounds very intriguing, but I mean, like we're just a year out and we have so much more to do. And I mean, like, you know, we're literally like we planned when we got back from our cross country trip, you know, we saw the bigger picture. You know, starting with, you know, the halfway point of our trip, you know, and connecting everyone. And it was eye-opening.
Right.
We, you know, saw like, wow, other people can share their stories on our video platform and really make this community just thriving higher than ever.
Right.
Then, you know, we took a couple months of, you know, strategizing and really deciding where we wanted to go with this. And because we had Netflix on the radar as our next stop, but then, you know, and the share your Stroke of Genius as the ending goal. But now it's all flopped around and say, okay, you share your stroke of geniuses, first, and then Netflix is, down the road.
Wait, it's
So
happening exactly how it's supposed to happen.
sure.
I'm a firm believer in that.
Yes, yeah.
You
And
know,
so, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Liam, what do you have to say about that?
I when you were sharing that, it's so amazing. I have to say, like, you just never know what's gonna happen. It's we had this, just like Kyle said, we had this idea of like this bigger idea, like this bigger future thing, and we thought, oh, like 5 years from now, maybe we'll be able to put together some kind of a platform where people can share their stories.
right?
And then we got on this phone call with Dan over at Thrive, who has been such a huge champion of our project, and he was like, um, and and we were like, oh, maybe it would be cool to like do a couple articles on Thrive, and then he got on the phone and he was like, yeah, it'd be cool like if you did something where like people could like share their stories or something, just like with on Thrive, and our jaws just dropped to the
Yeah,
floor.
we were already thinking
We were thinking it was going to take 5 years to do this,
Right.
and here comes one guy, and it's just like you just never know.
You don't. The greatest advice I've ever gotten from anybody is just do it. And it wasn't Nike. It was actually a really good friend of mine, and he was like, "Look, just do it." So many people talk about doing it. So many people put so many things in. Well, no, I'll do it once this happens. Once I'm able to do this, then I'll do this. Just do it. If you just do it, good things are gonna happen. And you are just the fact that you're doing it. You're so far ahead of so many other people. And beautiful things are going to happen. I was really nervous about doing this, like, putting together a podcast, putting a blog together, speaking in front of people, doing like these events. Like it's been a lot. Like it would have given me a panic attack pre-stroke. Post-stroke, I'm like, I almost died. I laugh at this stuff.
Joe, you're killing it. You're killing it.
I'm trying. I'm always trying to be like Kyle, man. I'm trying to get that real Kyle style in my life.
Oh.
Especially being a former, both of us are former like basketball players. Like, we've got that bond, and we've got that thing that we just want to keep on pushing forward. And all I want to do is keep pushing forward. I want to help. I want to reach as many people as possible. That's why I asked like where you guys see this going, because you guys traveled. Do you guys have any aspirations or any thoughts about, doing another cross country trip, or where my mind went immediately, just going overseas?
Yes. That's the end goal.
Because I think that would be amazing. Like, stroke of genius from Paris, stroke of genius from Thailand, stroke of genius from, Moscow. Like there's stories everywhere.
I was born in Germany. I lived a little in Seattle, grew up in Palm Springs, and lived in LA for 9 years before heading out to New York. And so I chased a girl down to Brazil. I absolutely am culture, definition. And, that's the end goal is, to interview and see and to feel all these cultures and to see these people in it, of how they overcame adversity, life-changing trauma events to live happy, healthy lives and thrive. Why?
Right.
Why? Because each culture is completely different. Japan, China, India, Europe, Europe proper, Europe, like in, Turkey. I mean, we're talking about Pakistan, you name it. Like, why are they so happy?
Right.
Like,
it's fascinating.
Given the culture around them, and and it absolutely is going to be mind blowing for us here in the United States, because United States have people have a way of living, and medical practices have a system that works and doesn't work.
It's broken for sure.
Yeah, exactly. But when you go to all ends of the earth, you see everything. And so, that's definitely on our plan.
Yeah, traveling the world has been interesting because you actually see different cultures, which I never saw before. I mean, the closest thing I can is living in New York, where it's kind of like its own, it's its own thing. But actually being in another country and seeing these people, I saw some of the hardest working people in the world. I saw some of the happiest people in the world. You know,
can I give you the craziest example? I'm gonna give you the funniest example. Okay, this is exactly what you guys are talking about. When it must have been this is the first time I went to Europe. I went to France, and I remember I got off the airplane, I got on, and this was many years ago, and now they have these in America now, but I got off the airplane, went to the place I was staying, went to the bathroom. I go in the bathroom, and the toilet tank is in the wall, and there's just the bowl part, and then there's a button on the wall that you push, and it flushes the toilet. And my mind was blown. I was like, this is the coolest freaking toilet I have ever seen. And until that time, I was young. I was like in my early 20s, but which is young, but also like not that young to be blown away by a toilet. But in that moment, I was like, oh my God, for my whole life, I had assumed that we had the best toilets. And that's like how I was going through my life. I'm from America. We have the best toilets. That's it.
We have the best everything.
We have the best everything.
We don't.
The first bathroom I went in, the first minute that I was in France, I saw the best toilet I'd ever seen in my life.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Like, you know what? We need to get out. A lot of people are like almost shut-ins, a little bit afraid to travel because we live in a fear culture. You know, oh, these people are out to kill me. The terrorists. It's not. It's a beautiful world out there, and we need to experience it. We need to grow as people. We need to meet other people and learn from them, so we could be like the ultimate person. You know what I mean? Like we need to gain all of this knowledge, so like we know. You know, don't you want to know? I want to know.
I want to know.
Yeah, like there's things that like why are you so happy? You live in a third world country. Why are you so happy? I want to know why that is. Like I want to hang out with you.
Exactly. In Brazil, I spent a lot of time in Brazil, and there are third world parts of Brazil, and you see these people and they're so happy, and you're like, wow, like I wish, America could be so happy.
Yeah.
It's just not like it's a complete different sensibility.
It is. I experienced that the first time I ever traveled outside of the States a few months back when I went to Thailand. I spent a few weeks over there. The people were the nicest, hardest working people I've ever met. It was insane. Everybody is hustling and doing something, I just thought that was beautiful, and there was a couple of people there was a couple of, not a lot of homeless people, but there were some homeless people hustling, not just saying, oh, I'm homeless. Like, take care of them. They were like hustling and trying to do, like, it was crazy. It was such a very hardworking culture, and everybody was just so happy. And I love that. It sounds weird, but we get like caught up in everything, and negativity kind of rules a lot. It feels, Felice says it all the time. She's like, it feels good to feel good. And I think we forget that sometimes. And if you just say it out loud, it sounds ridiculous. But if you're in a mood and you're upset, just why are you upset? What is taking you away from feeling good? No matter what it is, it feels good to feel good. So let's just feel good.
Yell it in front of a mirror, time and time again. Really good friend of mine, and Liam's too, says, you say it 9 times in a row to actually, become imprinted in your mind. That's Allison. Liam.
That's awesome. I kind of love that. Just don't say Candyman more than 3 times because he'll appear.
Oh, no.
With the exception of 2 things, Candyman and Beetlejuice.
And Beetlejuice, yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. You guys are amazing. That made me so happy right now. Oh man, I'm inspired as hell. I absolutely adore you guys. I think what you guys are doing is amazing. It really is truly inspiring to me and so many others out there. And I think it helps so many people, like when I talk to people, cause I have this thing. So Kyle's one of my brain buddies. Liam is now one of my brain adjacent buddies. And I had this thing last month where there was 31 days and I was reaching out to 31 different brain injury survivors just to connect.
Which was so awesome.
Yeah. So just to connect, share stories, and, you know, create community. And it was really, really cool. And at the ass end of the month, you know, it got like a little busy, and I was like, oh man, I missed the day. That sucked. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do this every single day for the rest of the year. And then I'm pretty sure at the end of the year, I'm going to be doing this every single day for like the rest of my life. Because I think it's such a beautiful thing. And a lot of people that I've reached out to, you guys already know, you know, and I'm like, oh, like I have this like beautiful community, the Stromies and the Share Your Stroke of Genius guys, the you know, Stroke Survivors Never Quit, the Like It or Not Apparel girls, like all these people. And they're like, oh, I know Stroke of Genius. I watch Stroke of Genius. Oh man, those guys are great. Man, Liam's really good looking.
Hey, what about Kyle?
Kyle, shockingly attractive. I get that a lot for sure. But I mean, it's such a beautiful community that we have, and it's such like the word community is it's incredible to me, because, you know, friends are friends, organizations are just like things that you're attached to, but a community is something that you'll be with forever. You know, if you can build a community, that's going to stick with you for life. It's kind of like a fraternity. You know, Kyle and I, we're part of a special fraternity of stroke survivors, and we'll always have that. Apparently, Liam and I, we're part of a fraternity. We're both Puerto Rican. That's amazing. I didn't even know that. But like, if our community of survivors, people who have suffered traumatic brain injuries, people who have suffered a stroke, and anything that revolves around, you know, the brain, we are so caring and loving and inclusive. And I think it's so beautiful that you guys are doing what you're doing to help grow this community and help other people. And it just inspires me just to keep on pushing forward, you know, and to keep on doing the exact same thing.
Amen.
Hey, on that note, I want to thank you guys for allowing me to, you know, drag you guys on the NeuroNerds, even though I don't have Lauren here. She's here in spirit, threatening me with her fists of fury. She's never hit me. She's only threatened me. And by threaten me, she just sits here and looks at me evilly. And I know that in a moment she could snap my neck. I'm physically afraid of my 5'4" co-host. Physically afraid. I'm a grown man. I'm 6'2". I am 200 plus pounds. It's ridiculous that I actually have a genuine physical fear of my co-host. So, Kyle, I think you're amazing. I am so happy that we met. Liam, I think you're amazing. You're a true artist in every sense of the word. So are you, Kyle. Like, you guys are two of the most artistic hearts I've ever known. You know, it's beautiful what you do. Continue doing what you're doing. So you can reach Kyle at The Real Kyle Style on Instagram. You can reach Liam at Liam Rules.
Yes, it's spelled phonetically. LeeumRulez.
Boom. I actually thought that's how you spelled your name, and I was like, oh no, I guess that's just for the socials. Definitely reach out to these guys. You can hear them on Share Your Stroke of Genius, and I really tune in. You guys every Monday?
Every Monday at 3 p.m. and it's at Share Your Stroke of Genius is the Stroke of Genius handle.
Yeah,
every Monday at 3 p.m. On Instagram Live.
Yeah, and it's like the people that they interview. It's always very informative. It's always very helpful. I always take something beautiful away from every single episode. Ask questions. The guys are amazing at, you know, connecting with you guys and connect with other stroke survivors. You know, again, I want to give a giant, massive shout out to the Stroke of Genius guys. You guys are amazing. You guys are gentlemen and scholars. And that was my interview with the Stroke of Genius guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it, because I did. Follow them at Liam Rules, at The Real Kyle Style, at Share Your Stroke of Genius. As always, the NeuroNerds, we're here to help. Follow us at the NeuroNerds. Follow me at Joso Rocks. Follow Lauren at Lauren L. Manzano. And a big thank you to Avid for sponsoring our podcast and making us sound amazing. Also want to thank all of our patrons on Patreon. We really appreciate all of the support. Every dollar counts to help keep the show functioning and running smoothly. If you listen to the show regularly, we love your support. Plus, every month, as the initiative, the NeuroNerds Give Back, we donate a portion of our proceeds to an individual or an organization in need. So this month's Patreon donation spotlight is stroke survivor Ryan Teal and his wife, Anna. We're supporting his recovery through his GoFundMe page. Go to patreon.com/theneuronerds for more details. And that wraps up the show for today. Many more interviews on the way with my brain buddies, with survivors, with caretakers, with doctors. There's a bunch of really, really exciting stuff happening in the very, very near future. Also, the NeuroNerds are taking over video. You can check us out on YouTube. And on that note, this NeuroNerd is out.